Broncos just wrapped up their second day of minicamp, and in fact, Sean Payton said that will be the end of mandatory minicamp. So we're going to unpack everything we learned from the first 2 days of minicamp. But I do want to start things off by talking about Courtland Sutton and a potential stalemate coming after he spoke to the media on Tuesday. But I do love keeping you guys apprised of our subscriber battle with the Chiefs channel here at Chat Sports. We were down big just 3 or 4 days ago, and we have not only passed them, we are now kicking the Chiefs Report ass in subscribers, 173 to 103. So shout out to everyone who joined the channel over the last 24 hours or so. If you enjoy kind of a peek behind the curtain, you can look at the YouTube analytics along with me here. 77 subscribers since we dropped that last video. That's incredible. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel and helping us take down the Chiefs Report. Now, let's talk about Courtland Sutton because he reported a mandatory minicamp, so that was a good step forward in his return and hopefully the end of any potential holdout. However, when he spoke to the media, there were some good responses, and then there were some responses that I think made people's hair on the back of their neck stand up a little bit. So allow me to read to you guys what Courtland Sutton said when he was asked about maybe missing training camp due to the contract dispute. You know, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Got a month to be able to get things situated. Hopefully things get situated because, you know, as you all have heard, and I will continue to say this, this is where I want to be. This is home. And then Courtland Sutton ended his press conference by saying, this is where I want to be, and I'm just hoping that it's mutual. So kind of a kudos and bravo to Courtland Sutton for definitely winning the press conference where if things were to ever go south, there's no doubt in anyone's mind of Courtland Sutton wanting to be a Bronco and kind of putting the blame on the front office if that does not happen. But this is far from over. Like, Courtland Sutton kind of opened up his press conference talking about how he's rehabbing from an ankle surgery, from an injury he sustained in Week 18 against the Raiders. The Broncos said, hey, there's a great doctor in Florida. Go get your surgery down there, rehab. And, you know, that was a little bit of the reason as to why he might have missed OTAs. And then the reporters were asking him about the contract dispute, and Sutton pretty much opened up and said, yeah, that's also a big reason as to why I did not come to organize team activities. So let's talk about the contract dispute and what is next. So in my eyes, Courtland Sutton is looking to get some pay increase from his current guaranteed money, which is just $2 million for this year, or just an overall raise for this season because he's due about $13 million in cash for 2024. Remember, he signed that 4-year extension in November of 2021, $60.8 million. To be honest with you guys, though, if we're picking sides, if we're choosing teams, I'm going to side with the Broncos here. And I know usually when you side with the team of the front office, you're signing with the billionaire and you're not with the man of the people and the players on the field. And I know that's not the most popular opinion at all times, but I do think that the team has a fair reason for not trying to just back the Brinks truck up and give Courtland Sutton some raise or more guaranteed money. I mean, you can look at Sutton's last 3 years, 2 of which, or 2.5 pretty much, were played under this new contract extension. And for the opening few games out of the extension, it wasn't smooth sailing. In fact, look at Courtland Sutton's stats before he got a contract extension and then after he got the contract extension. Before the extension, played 43 games for basically 2,500 yards. We'll give him an extra yard and 12 touchdowns. Since signing that 4-year, $60 million extension, 1,700 yards, 12 touchdowns, so same amount of touchdowns. Sure, in fewer games, but not a huge wide margin of games played, right? 43 versus 38. And keep in mind, that 43 even includes the Steelers game when he tore his ACL. So they're very similar in terms of snaps being shared between pre- and post-contract extension. It's nearly right down the middle of his NFL career. So when you look at Sutton's stats from when he after he signed the contract extension, it wasn't great, let's be honest, coming out of it. The next season or two, like 4 total touchdowns combined. Then last year, he really lives up to the billing. He gets 10 touchdowns, and everyone's pretty excited about the future of Courtland Sutton on this team, right? Because it was looking a bit murky in that 21, 22-ish range. He was still coming off the torn ACL, but we're very much removed from that now, so I don't think that's a factor at all for Courtland Sutton not having the big explosive plays maybe like he did in his 1,000-yard 2019 season, whatever it was. The yards are still lagging behind a little bit, but there's plenty of contributing factors like inconsistent quarterback play, turnover at head coach, turnover at play caller. You can kind of go on and on. But when you get a 4-year, $60 million extension, you usually receive that because you are such a talented player that can overcome instability at other spots on the roster and on the team. And I don't really think that's been the case so far. Now, I've got more to say on this subject, so don't go anywhere. But if you want to get some more Broncos gear in your life, there's a hat and t-shirt combination sale going on right now. It is 25% off. Someone on our last video, 2 videos ago, commented, like, I got the shirt. So you know what? If you want to get some more Broncos gear in your life, chatsports.com/DEN combo. I put that link in the comments and description of today's video. So let's talk about the financial situation here. And if an extension, not an extension, but a pay increase happen, like, what would that look like? And also, does Courtland Sutton, where should he be in the wide receiver ranking? Like, no one, I don't think even Sutton is arguing that he should be a top 10 highest paid wide receiver. Does he want to be somewhere between 11 and 20? Probably. I don't think he has a really good argument, though. I think the absolute ceiling would be Amari Cooper at number 20, at $20 million a season, because he's about $5 million off from that. Right now, Courtland Sutton ranks 26 in highest paid wide receivers by average annual contract. So if a guy gets a 5-year, $100 million deal, that's an average of $20 million a season. Sutton making an average of $15.2 million a season. That ranks 26 in the NFL. Now, Sutton is arguing after last year with 10 touchdowns, which was good for 4th in the NFL, he should be much higher than where he currently is. And listen, I don't think he's wrong for feeling that way. 10 touchdowns, that's tied for 4th in the NFL for receivers. And he finished 21st in wide receiver rank last year in terms of his average annual salary. But it's also worth noting, in 2021, when he had 2 touchdowns, which was good for 107th in the NFL, he was 15th in wide receiver average annual salary. So in that year, he kind of got the better end of the deal with the Broncos. And now it's kind of balanced out. So I think it's fair to say, let's call it a draw. Like, Sutton was a little bit underwhelming at the start of his extension. He was really good last year. I think it's a clean wash. Like, I don't think because you have one good year that was followed by 1 to 2 underwhelming-ish seasons for what he was being paid, that after one 10-touchdown season, the guy deserves a raise. No, I don't think so. I like Courtland Sutton as a lot as a player, and as a person too. Like, I think as a human being, Courtland Sutton is 10 out of 10. He is awesome. He is great for this city, for this locker room. I love players that love the team they play for, and even when things are tough and when there's more losses than wins, he still wants to be here for when they raise the Lombardi Trophy. Like, those are guys that you view as core players and that you want to be lifers. And I think Courtland Sutton has found himself into that bucket. But I do not think that he has earned a pay increase. I don't think he has earned a raise after a 10-touchdown season. I don't think that is grounds for a $2 million raise when the previous 2 years he had a combined 4-touchdown season. I think that should be viewed as, all right, we'll call it even. I probably didn't live up to my contract in 2021 and 2022. I definitely exceeded my contract in 2023, so let's just shake hands and move on. My proposal, if they really want to put this besides themselves, give him a cash bump for 2024. Like, I don't think Courtland Sutton should be getting more guaranteed money for 2025. Now you are locking yourself into an aging wide receiver when every single year in the NFL draft, it feels like the wide receiver class just gets better and better. I mean, look at last year. Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze. They all went top 10, and if they were all in different draft classes, they all could have been the first wide receiver taken. Now, not every draft is going to be as loaded as last year's wide receiver draft class was, but there are a lot of really good wide receivers every single year coming out of college football. So I think for the Broncos, give them a pay bump for this year if you'd like, but I don't think they should add more guaranteed money to 2025 because chances are he's not going to have a 10-touchdown season this year with Bo Nix as his quarterback. There's just going to be more growing pains with the rookie, and you may not like future you if previous you gave more guaranteed money to an aging receiver that isn't the best at separating. Now, what is your concern level over Courtland Sutton holding out? Scale it 1 to 10 in the comment section below. For me, I'm at like a 3, right? I think Courtland Sutton is going to be a Bronco for 2024. I don't think a trade's going to happen. There's definitely no chance of a release happening. But I would be lying if those comments didn't, move it from a 2 to a 3 for me. Sutton, by the way, he has some good leverage in this contract dispute, if you will. He has a rookie quarterback. The Broncos have a rookie quarterback, which means this team needs to have a nice veteran wide receiver for him to grow a chemistry with and to have some success on the field with. Plus, look at the Broncos locker room over the last few months, right? You lose Justin Simmons, Von Miller, that was a long time ago at this point. Move on from Simmons, move on from Russell Wilson, move on from Jerry Jeudy. Like, you have moved on from a couple of leaders and just overall veteran players in this locker room where I don't think you're at the point where you can start moving on from another veteran leader on this team. You're going to start looking around going, there's a lot of newbies who are veterans that have been here for a year or two and a lot of youngins. Like, it is important to have a good culture setter and tone maker in the locker room, and that's Courtland Sutton. Plus, this is a very sad list of names that I don't want to see Bo Nix be a part of, which is rookie quarterbacks that joined their team, and on the roster, there was not a single wide receiver who in his career had over 750 receiving yards in a season. Happened to Dwayne Haskins when he joined the Washington Redskins or football team in 2019. There were no 750-plus wide receivers on that roster. And then Brandon Weeden when he was drafted by the Browns. Let's be honest, neither one of these players had a lot of success early on in their careers. So I don't think setting Bo Nix up with a receiving core that does not have a single 750-plus in a season receiving guy is a recipe for success. Some other minicamp news and notes I want to share before we sign off and call it a day. Bo Nix, I wish I had better news to share, probably had his worst outing in front of the media. Remember, the media got to see 3 out of the 10 OTA sessions, 30%, and they got to see 2 of 2 minicamp sessions. So 5 out of the 12 practices that were open to the media. This was probably the worst one by Bo Nix. He threw his first interception. Levi Wallace made a nice play on the football. So unfortunately, a little bit choppy today, but nothing to be concerned or panic over. He's a rookie quarterback. Those days are just going to happen. No Greg Dulcich as well. So we didn't see Greg Dulcich once this spring, and that's a big-time bummer. And that definitely makes me concerned about where he stands in this locker room in terms of like lock to make the roster. If you're not available and weeks and months keep on going by, I don't know how much longer they're going to hold on to a roster spot for him. So hopefully Greg Dulcich can be ready to roll when training camp gets underway. If not, we're going to have a much more serious conversation at the start of August. So no mandatory minicamp tomorrow. Sean Payton let him go for the rest of the summer. Payton also said he will be golfing every day up until training camp. So part of me wonders if like a really good tee time opened up tomorrow. And he's like, you know what? I've seen enough this spring. Let's call it a day. That will do it for us on today's episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you are still watching, by the way, scroll on down, type DEN. You know I love to see the end of the video, crew.